We have completed our personal finance unit and we are moving into our new unit called economic issues. And issue number one, something you've probably heard a little bit about, the housing market. And this class, if you've missed it, a little unusual. You're going to see that in this video. The first half is traditional economics. Then the second half is a little more pragmatic, hands-on kind of vibe. And you're going to have a choice of which road to go at the end of this. If you were over 50, you could say choose your own adventure. That's a reference you won't get. But ask anybody over 50, I'm sure they'll understand that. So you have a choice at the end. And we started off class with this big question. Now you have to live somewhere. Where do you live? And please don't be that Weisenheimer that says, I'm going to live off the fat of the land. Okay, no, you're probably not. Let's think a little more regular stuff. And here are your choices. And again, with opportunity cost for everything we decide, we could do something else. Opportunity cost does not go away. And you can stay with other people the rest of your life. You could live in a traditional house. You could live in a manufactured home, a condo or a condominium, an apartment, or some alternative arrangement. Big question. And related to these items, are you going to buy or are you going to rent? Again, pros and cons to both. Now, if you are going to buy, when is the right time to pull the trigger in making that decision? Big, heavy stuff. Okay, now this question probably made a few of you do a face palm like, are you kidding me? I got enough on my mind. Okay, hashtag stressful. Hashtag, I'm still in high school. Why am I talking about this? It's because it's a big issue in everyone's life. And at present, it might change if you're listening to this years from now. The housing market is a real challenge for people. And I just want you to be aware of that. So, to lessen some stress, it's best to be equipped with some knowledge. And I don't know if you know these terms or not. I'm guessing you know some of them, but just some it's a reiteration, some it's new stuff. But there's some fundamental language when it comes to this question. A mortgage, that's your long-term loan used to buy a dwelling. 15 years or 30 years. 30 years are more common. Then you have a down payment. That's your upfront cost in getting your place. 10% is generally the norm. Then you have an interest rate. This is the percentage you have to pay back to whoever gave you that mortgage, and it determines your monthly payments based on your credit score. Now, if you have a high credit score, you'll likely get approved and have a decent interest rate. If you have a poor credit score, you may not get approved or have a ridiculous interest rate. Property taxes. These are the taxes you need to pay every year to live where you live. And at your age, I get it. You're like, I'm going to live here, I'm going to live there. Cool. Have your dreams, have your goals. Take a pause to look at what the property taxes are. Some communities that can make or break you. Then you have the closing cost when you're getting your place. This is the money you have to pay for the inspections and the real estate agents and the title insurance and all these other logistical things. And believe me, there's more than you think. So just when you think you have paid your last bill, you'll get hit with another bill. And then this word equity. This is the portion of the home that you own outright. Now, you don't get that if you rent. At the same time, it's freeing in some departments, but these are the 7 terms we went over in class, and I hope you know these. If not, please put these in your brain so you know what these mean. Okay. And there's some challenges. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, especially right now. I know right now you're juniors, so you're not buying a house tomorrow, but it's a rough time in the housing market right now. The prices of homes are going up faster than wages. That's just a fact. The interest rates have been going up in recent years, and that's tough. That means somebody who's buying a house now compared to 15 years ago is paying like 6.8% compared to 3% 15 years ago. That adds up. Student loans can be really high, and sometimes you have so many loans, you won't have any money for a down payment and closing costs. And that might steer you to say, shoot, community college is 2 years for free. I was planning on going away for 4. I might go away for 2 just so I have some money at the end. I can pay off my loans and have a down payment. Number 4, if you have a low credit score, it's going to limit your options. Just simply, it's going to limit your options. Number 5, there's always unexpected costs. It's just a reality. And then 6, if you spend most of your money on your house, okay, basically all of my money is going to my house. There's a colloquial term called being house poor. Now, you run a risk of foreclosure. Something happens, you lose your job, you might lose your home. Or it's a lifestyle you don't want. You don't have a very nice car and you can't go out to restaurants and you can't travel because you've put all your money into your house. So these are all things you have to look at moving into the world. And I'm going to give you some traditional econ here. Here's a 50-year trend about the U.S. median home prices. Now, look at here in 71. Okay, and look how it moved through time, and look where we are as we're moving to now. So what's happening, and by the way, just more of a sociological thing, this perception between baby boomers and Gen Xers and millennials, a lot of these baby boomers are saying, just get a job and get a house like I did. Well, if you look back in 71, that was pretty doable. Okay, look at the median price for a home. What is that, 30 grand? Now look at it. It's moving up to 300 grand. So it's a very different reality, and that's just the reality of things. So unfortunately for you, this has gotten worse and worse and worse over time. And then if we look at a more recent look in the last few years, you can see, oh my goodness, it is up and down and up and down. And take a look at this, just the difference between 18 months here. Okay, if you bought your home here, look what you're paying. If you waited 18 months, it's here. And I know that's really stressful, but knowing these trends, you can look because here's the thing. If you are looking at the present median prices right here, you say, I'm going to wait a while. I'm going to get an apartment for a year and wait it out. Then all of a sudden you see it go way down and you got some extra money, then you pull the trigger. So looking at these trends is really important. And if you aren't into the data thing, find somebody who is, or find somebody that you trust who can know that stuff. That can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. By the way, I waited until January of 2010. That was a decision I will be thankful for the rest of my days. I waited until it was just the right time. Then I pounced. Okay, I hope you do the same thing. Now, here's some practical matters. And here's me doing the more hands on thing. I have one assignment that relates to the last few slides, traditional econ, looking at the housing markets today. For those of you who are a little more hands-on, practical types, I'm going to have you inspect your own dwelling. And you can inspect your own, and if you do in the future look for one, here's the list of things be careful of. Asbestos, radon gas, lead paint, toxic mold, and evidence of pests, termites and whatnot. Fixing these issues are crazy expensive. If you are buying a place with these issues, shouldn't be paying very much, okay? Because it's going to be very expensive. So whatever dwelling you choose, these are the 5 things, heads up. Make sure you are good in these 5 areas. And when you're doing this inspection, there are 2 fundamental areas. There's exterior and interior. Now, my tip for you is don't let one good area distract you from the problems of the other. Some people see the beautiful outside, the exterior, and go, oh my gosh, what a great home. And then the inside, the guts of it, if you will, are a mess. The pipes and the water and the electricity, and vice versa. The inside, the cabinets are beautiful. The carpeting is great. The paint job. Oh, look at these copper pipes. And then the outside is falling apart and there's woodpeckers living in your siding. So ideally you're going to find both, but be aware. Don't let a nice one steer you away from the issues of the other. I hope you find both. That's a good thing. Now, when you are doing the inspection, there's a checklist for you. You can practice. When you're looking at a dwelling, and you have roof, chimney, soffits and fascia, gutters and downspouts, wall coverings, windows and doors, porches and decks, foundations, the lot area surrounding your place, the basement, the floors, the walls, the ceilings, bathrooms and kitchens, electromechanical considerations. Now, I'm not expecting you at 16, 17, 18 to know these things, but if you have a family member that know, you can do the inspection with them and they can point that out. This is virtual. I can't physically show you anything, but ideally, if you have check marks like a grade, good, 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 you want all A's, okay? You want all 15. Now, ideally, that's the hope, but in real life, you're probably not going to get a place that's perfect. Bear in mind, some of these are cheaper than others, okay? And you can probably guess. So everything is good except new windows. Okay, that's fairly doable. Holy cow, my foundation is cracked. Uh-oh. So you get that. So anyway, I'm not going to do justice in short time, but bear that in mind. Now, please don't fall for the following tricks. Sometimes the real estate people will bake bread or cookies and put fresh flowers out. It's this tactic to make it really feel more like home, to distract you. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Those flowers are so pretty. It's nice. It's cute. Don't let it, get you off the focus of inspecting the house. New paint and carpet. Now, if the rest of the house is older and the paint and carpet is beautiful, oftentimes that's a trick to put a cheap facade over some issues. And the analogy is not a very It's semi-vulgar, but it makes sense. I could take one of my dog's poops and dip it in gold. It looks fantastic. It's bright gold, but if I crack it in the center, you know what I'm looking at. Nothing I want to deal with. So bear that in mind. New paint and carpet's cool, but if the rest of the house has issues, oftentimes it's used as a cover-up. Having the real estate agent pick their inspector, pick your own. Bear in mind, the real estate agent wants to sell it. If they have an inspector, they may turn a blind eye. By the way, if the real estate agent insists on having theirs, bring one of yours too. And if they say no, you have to use one of mine, I'd be that's a red flag. So pick somebody you know and trust, preferably a family member. Number four, if there's real false urgency, well, you better decide this minute because there's a other person who's gonna bid on it in an hour. Again, that may or may not be true. Don't let that pressure you. And what you're paying your real estate agents have value, they're important, but 5% is reasonable. Anything more than that, you don't have to pay that. You can get a good real estate agent for five and below. Five's the magic number. Now, what you should do is compare similar properties in the area, see what you're getting is fair. Zillow is a great tool for that. If you're on a budget, try to get the worst house in a great neighborhood, not the other way around. And what I'm saying is that houses can be improved, neighborhoods cannot. So if you want to get more bang for your buck, more money, buy a house in a neighborhood that's outstanding and you can work on your house over time, and that's a great way to do things. Try not to do or try to do home improvements yourself. If you can get your family and friends, go to YouTube University, check it out. Will save you a lot of money. Having that knowledge is huge. Buy a dwelling that's in line with your values and what's important. If you're looking for a nightlife and fun and concerts, you might hit Hamtramck or Royal Oak or Ferndale. If you want quiet, you pick a community. I'm using all these Metro Detroit things. I'm sorry for my bias. You pick a community like Livonia, or you pick a community in northern Oakland County. Pick what you're interested in, and remember, a simple Google search of is it a buyer's or seller's market will steer you in the right direction. You want to buy a house in a buyer's market, not a seller's market. And remember the three rules of real estate: location, location, and location. Where you pick is the big decision. Okay, so sorry this went a little long. At the end of this, you have two choices. So if you miss class, you can go to the module. Choice one is traditional econ. Choice two, you're going to see the inspection sheet, and you can inspect your own place and learn hands-on. I would love for you to include your learning coaches into that. And that is it. So we're going to be looking at a few issues for the next couple of weeks, and they are real life, they are tangible, and I hope you take them seriously because if you do, you'll make better economic choices when you get out into the world. All right. Take care, everybody.